Hey there everyone, I'm meteorologist Cassie Nall and this is your 10 weather impact recap for the week. Let's start with a look at some of our top weather stories from around the country. Category 5 Hurricane Melissa made landfall on the island of Jamaica last week as one of the strongest storms ever observed in the Atlantic Basin. The hurricane devastated the western portion of the island nation. George Solis shows us the impacts from where the eye of the storm came ashore.
This is the view of Black River from the air. Utter destruction as far as the eye can see. For days, the coastal town was completely cut off, the road blocked by rubble and mud. Today, we found mangled debris lining the road. Portions are still flooded. When we finally reached Black River, everyone we met was desperate for help.
We need water, no water.
Donna Barnes told me the day Melissa hit was the worst day of her life.
Has help been able to get here on the ground?
No. No one come around and say, no one.
Brianna Legister says she can't swim, and as the floodwaters rose, she had to find a way to float with her son to safety.
We don't have anything, everything washed out. We don't have any clothes for the baby. Everything gone, roof gone, house gone. We don't have nothing to sleep on.
Take a look at the devastation at the hospital here. The roof is completely gone. The windows of this ambulance blown out. And this is the wrecked children's ward, where several babies were being treated during the storm.
Here in Black River, residents are lining up for supplies, whatever they can get their hands on from a local pharmacy.
Officials say at least 19 people were killed in Jamaica during Melissa, bringing the storm's total death toll to at least 46 across the Caribbean. In Cuba today, more rescues after rain soaked a region already battered by Melissa. This man carried from his home on a soldier's shoulders. While back in Jamaica, officials promise more help is on the way. More relief flights are arriving each day. And despite significant damage to 2 terminals, Montego Bay's airport will begin commercial flights tomorrow. Very welcome news for stranded tourists.
It will take years for the people of Jamaica to recover and rebuild after Hurricane Melissa leveled entire communities. David Culver spoke with people who are struggling to confront the massive job of living day to day and how they will rebuild from here.
We are catching some water because that's the only way we can get water. We are damaged here in Jamaica, real bad.
Across much of western Jamaica, the storm has passed, but you feel it everywhere. Survival mode has kicked in.
In here in Belmont, we are very distraught and we really need some help because you have persons who are very homeless and we don't really have any food supplies.
This is where you live here?
Now they're coming to terms with what's left, and for many here, it's not much.
This was your bed?
Yeah. I'm in my bed. Look at bed mashed up.
It's all mashed up, you're right. You're right.
There's one here. This is one of our neighbor house also. Her house destroyed also. Everybody house in this community is very destroyed. We don't see nobody. And that I keep on wondering. We have suffered here and nobody comes to assist. You know how we even get some things like these? It's persons who are going around in vehicle and giving out a little portion of tokens.
As one resident pointed out, even if a house is still standing because of concrete, most likely the windows were shattered and water got in, sand got in, furniture, clothes, all their belongings destroyed. I mean, it just continues. It's endless. I mean, you look up there and it just goes all the way up.
The tourism industry, the backbone of Jamaica's economy, is watching closely. Officials say most of the island is still open for visitors, especially along the north and east coast, with peak travel season just weeks away. But in the west, where Hurricane Melissa caused the most damage, rebuilding could take months or even years. November is the final month of the Atlantic hurricane season, and activity typically decreases significantly this time of year. With cold fronts coming down into the Gulf and moving off of the eastern seaboard, landfalls on the U.S. are pretty rare in November, and climatologically favored areas for development typically allow steering winds to take whatever does develop out to sea. Now, Melissa was the 13th named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season, and while the overall number of storms this year has been lower than the seasonal forecast, the storms that we have had have been very intense. We have had 4 major hurricanes, Category 3 or higher, this summer, and 3 of those 4 reached Category 5 strength. Only one other season has had 3 or more Category 5 storms, and that was the historic 2005 season, which had 15 hurricanes, with 7 of those becoming major and 4 of those reaching Category 5 strength. As of this recording, we are not watching any areas for potential tropical development. More than a year ago, Hurricane Helene brought historic rainfall and catastrophic flooding to parts of southern Appalachia. Now, people in western North Carolina are dealing with a new hidden flood risk after the storm: aging dams that were damaged by the raging floodwaters. Liz McLaughlin shows us the growing risk across North Carolina and the race to fix it before the next big storm.
When Helene tore through western North Carolina, this dam couldn't hold back the floodwater. The failure here at Lake Craig, one of more than 40 across the state, and experts say it won't be the last if aging infrastructure isn't strengthened for the storms ahead.
The cracked concrete still bears the scars of the storm.
A lot of debris built up behind this dam and it just overwhelmed it.
Erin McCombs lives just downstream from Asheville's Lake Craig Dam, where Helene ripped through last year, overwhelming the infrastructure and taking a bridge out with it.
A common misconception is that all dams provide a flood control benefit, and that isn't true. For run-of-river dams that are the vast majority of dams, it's water in, water out.
McCombs works with American Rivers to remove aging, unsafe dams. The failure in her own backyard makes that mission personal.
We removed a couple of dams up on the Watauga River before Helene hit, and we saw that those projects saved lives and protected critical infrastructure.
That played out at Wards Mill Dam in Sugar Grove. It came out in 2021, and resident John Council says that likely spared his community after Helene still sent water rushing into his home.
The general analysis is that the flood would have crested 12 to 15 feet higher than it did on the day had the dam still been there.
State lawmakers recently approved $10 million for damaged dams, funding that advocates call a first step, not a finish line.
It's because the safest dam is a dam that isn't there anymore.
With thousands of dams across North Carolina and removal averaging about $1 million each, state leaders now face a tough question: which communities get protected first?
We really shouldn't be in a position where we're juggling those risks.
State leaders hope the new funding for dam repair and removals will help prevent disasters like this, but advocates say it's only a down payment on what's needed to protect communities in a changing climate. In Asheville, I'm Liz McLaughlin.
North Carolina officials have identified more than 100 high-hazard dams in need of upgrades, and emergency inspections are still underway more than a year after Hurricane Helene. Also in western North Carolina, an elusive natural phenomenon has come back to the mountains this fall. The shadow of the bear only comes out for a couple of weeks each year. It happens when the autumnal sun sets behind Whiteside Mountain, casting a shadow in the shape of a bear.
Over the weekend, we were scrolling, and we saw come up in Instagram a picture of this with the shadow kind of moving, and it was like from right now to sometime in November we could do it, so we wanted to go ahead and come out.
It only happens from mid-October to early November, occurring right around sunset and only lasting for 45 minutes. You can see it in Cashers, North Carolina, about 2.5 hours from Knoxville. And in the Smokies, the high elevations had their first snow of the season late last week. The LeConte Lodge shared these photos of the wintry weather on October 30th. Elevations above about 5,500 to 6,000 feet received a dusting of snow as cold air moved through the region. In addition to the snow, the clouds stuck around for a few days, and folks up at the lodge said they moved into November looking like an ice palace with rime ice or freezing fog coating all of the trees. The sunshine and warmer temperatures we've had this week have melted the ice and snow, but this is the time of year where you should always be prepared for cold and/or slick and wintry conditions whenever you head into the mountains. Now, we've moved into a new month, so let's take a look back at October and a look ahead to November. Last month started off very warm, but the switch flipped on the 19th and we had a very cool finish to the month. Similarly, we had some much needed rainfall during the final week, making last month the first October with a rainfall surplus since 2021. Now to November. This is the third and final month of meteorological fall, and average highs dropped from the mid-60s to the mid-50s as daylight hours continue to get shorter. We had some cool temperatures for the first weekend of November and have enjoyed some milder conditions this week, but things are about to change early next week. A very deep trough of low pressure is expected to develop late this weekend, opening the doors for the coldest air of the season so far to move into the southeast. This blast of cold air will drop temperatures to around 20 degrees below average and bring the first widespread freeze of the season to our area. For this reason, we have made Monday and Tuesday of next week weather impact alert days. So let's get a check of that 7-day forecast. Again, staying on the mild side through at least Friday. The first cold front comes through Friday night with some breezy winds, maybe a couple thunderstorms, and some brief periods of heavy rain. You get a little bit of a break during the daylight hours on Saturday, so chance of rain early and a chance of rain late. More showers move in Sunday. Temperatures will actually fall throughout the day on Sunday as that colder air begins to move in. And then here we go. Highs on Monday as of now look to stay in the 40s, and by Tuesday morning we could have widespread lows in the 20s, our first widespread freeze of the season. And that's also Veterans Day, so for the Veterans Day parade and any activities that we have going on around our area, you'll need to be prepared for the cold, so make sure you check back for updates. And thank you so much for watching. You can always get the very latest with your forecast in the 10 News app. It's free to download in the App Store.